G'day everyone. I'm just throwing this as an intro to all of these videos I'm about to upload. These are all spearfishing info videos from Patreon. The Patreon people that I spoke with said they wouldn't mind if these eventually went on YouTube. There's about 9 hours of spearfishing info stuff. Nothing fancy, just me talking to a GoPro on various topics, but it will probably help quite a few new divers because there's like 9 hours of just absolute... I cover everything I've sort of ever learned in the scene. With regards to me spearfishing, probably not a reality at the moment. I was just diagnosed with a disorder called ME a few years back. Stupidly tried to hide it. Shouldn't have actually, because if I come out with these things I can help other people that are struggling through them. But yeah, I haven't even been able to make this video for the last 4 days because I've been and now yeah, I've got enough energy today. But yeah, you can watch the Future of Aquatic Rehab spearfishing video if you want to know more on that. For anyone that wants to help me through this, I will put my PayPal in here. Feel free if you think you're getting value out of this, because sort of everything helps with this. But otherwise, no pressure. Just go out and send us pictures of the fish that you're smashing. And yeah, hope you guys get some info.
G'day crew. For today's weekly video, I'm just down in Coro, so I'm just doing it on the run. But I'll pull over to read this question I got and have a chat about it. So this is from Brad. I think he's given quite a few good questions, and this is a really good one. And yeah, I'll read it out and then I'll get back on the road, and hopefully you can hear me with the car noise. I'll do my best in post-production there to cut it down, but yeah. So Brad says, got any scary experiences with dive buddies having complications or unexpected equipment failures? That sort of stuff can have a lot of hidden value. Ideas for weekly, so that's actually really bloody good. So what comes to mind would be pretty nasty sort of Sambu type blackout that I'll talk about, and the reason I'm saying it now is so that I remember, because if I get on a tangent I might forget. Getting my fingers caught with a Dyneema while fighting a kingfish. Sharks getting super nuts and us having to get out of the water. And I was actually chatting to Mike last night, and then I thought, because I'm diving with Mike, and he's we just got him onto his, I think it's his second kingfish. So his you know, he's just sort of at that sort of apprentice level, but quite confident in the water, being a surfer and all that. And so they can, like, guys that are confident in the water can learn really, really fast. But I've had him out with me for a couple of dives, and then me and my friend Wayne took him out, and he got to see the way that me and Wayne operate really smooth and quickly. And I didn't notice what me and Wayne sort of do until Mike was there and we were chatting about it after. And a lot of things like how we're operating. So this isn't really scary experiences, but this is how we're operating to maximize shooting windows during the day. So I might get onto that afterwards too. So firstly, scary experiences. So the first one being, I'll go into that blackout. So I haven't seen that many. Most of the blackouts and summers and type stuff that I've seen is in the pool. And what happened this day was we were sort of out in the tropics, and there was a diver who was having a really, really good, comfortable day, and he ended up, he was hanging out down the bottom, and then he wanted to get some chum. He was on the way back up, and a nice big school of barracuda moved in, and he wanted to get some chum, so he was up in mid-water, and then he dived back down towards the fish. And fish is something that really will screw with your breath hold and make it better, because when you're really, really keen on a fish, it's a very good way to ignore the fact that you have an urge to breathe, because quite often you're sort of battling all these bloody internal things that are going on, like pressure in the chest that makes you want to feel like you need to breathe and all this sort of stuff. When a fish comes in, you can really end up ignoring your breath hold, or your urge to breathe, and that's why a lot of people, fish is the killer. So yeah, this guy doubled back down, and then he was on the way back up. I don't think he got the shot, but he tried to. So that was like re-diving when you're already on the way back to the surface, and he re-dived for a bit too long, I thought, and then not re-dive, but sort of on the way back up, seeing the fish, and then tried to go back down to them, and he was trying to get a shot, and it was difficult. So he had that whole thing going on where he should have just been continuing all the way back up. And then on the way back up, he got really limp at about 3 meters. He was like kind of funny and jiggling a wee bit, and then his brother was there, and I just had the camera, and he got him up to the surface, and this bloke was like screaming. It was a really, really high pitched sound. It was quite awful, and it was just like his body like was contracting, so like, and all his lungs were just squeezing the air out, and it kind of sounded like a scream, but it wasn't. So and then it sort of was really, really high pitched for a long time, and then it sort of came down, and then he goes, whoa, and then he was like, his head kind of jolted forward, and then we're like, okay, get the boat over. This fella's just had this bloody hypoxic kind of episode, and yeah, so that the main reason why I see value in that story is re-diving on fish. And I had a chat about it in one of our latest YouTube videos, and that'll make you guys think, fish come back in, and then you've had a bottom time, and then you're on the way back up, and then you make a re-dive on them. If it's a kingy, you might think, oh cool, I'll get the shot, but then the fish might move out, and then you might play that cat and mouse game, and that's when it gets really dangerous. So yeah, there's that one. The pool blackouts, pretty standard. Guys just pushing it, and then guys that have like really low, a real low sort of threshold for hypoxic kind of fits and stuff like that. So that's just a standard run of the mill. The only information and advice I can give there is, if you haven't seen our previous videos or our how to increase your breath hold video on Vimeo, is that hyperventilation is very, very dangerous, and all freedivers have to figure out what hyperventilation is. Like just standard breathing, no deviation from normal homeostatic breathing, because any technical breathe up is dangerous. You're already running at about 98% oxygen, just standard anyway, so you don't need more oxygen. So, but the time that you're just breathing on the surface is basically relaxing time. But if you spend your time breathing up, you blow off too much CO2. Your warning system's further out in time, then you can black out before you really feel that urge to breathe. So that's why you don't hyperventilate. So I'll throw that in there for anyone that's new and doesn't know that, or was just getting into spearfishing. So there was that one, then there was the Dyneema one. So I shot a kingy. So this is when I was learning to use a railgun. Shot a kingy, and I hit it near the brain. And quite often you can tell when you get a bit of experience behind you, but you can hit a kingfish near the brain and you think it's stoned, and it will wake up after about 5 seconds or so, start to go, and then it will really get the power on when it wakes up. And I thought I'd stone this king, and I moved forward to grab it in the water, and the line coiled around my 2 fingers. These two fingers. And what happened there was it squeezed tight when the fish ran into like a kind of a noose, and the fish started pulling me, and I was already at about 12 meters or so. And I was desperate to pop that, because Dyneema is very thin line. It becomes quite dangerous because of the nature of it. It's thin, flexible, and it's like the breaking strain is massive. So eventually I just kept trying to rip the glove off, because they were getting stuck on my 2 knuckle bones. And eventually I popped the actual glove off, and then I could get to the surface. So there's just one thing about also being wary about the fish, the state of the fish, but also being wary about the you know, the Dyneema line and how dangerous it can be. So yeah, two little things there about the way that kingies can sort of feign die and then bloody come back alive. And the other one was my mate shot a. So I swam with a lot of sharks and I was really confident around them in my first several years of spearfishing. And then my mate shot a kingfish and sort of spined it, but it was like wiggling. Like, you know, they quite often they'll sort of like jiggle in the water pond. And this shark was sort of circling it and going like spastic. It was really weird. And then another shark moved in, and I went down to film them, and they were like down on the reef. I think I had one of the old contours or something. Or went down to, no, mate, I don't think I had a camera actually. It was back before I used GoPros or even knew what GoPros were or anything. And this one shark was like on the reef, like writhing around, like just near the kingfish. It was just like this fish spasming just sort of sent the sharks into this real weird state. And I got back to the surface and I started saying to Nathan, the shark's acting really weird. And then his kingfish got off. Like, I think a shark might have pulled it off, something weird happened. I think they ripped it off, and then they just left it and just charged straight at him, like full speed. And they like hit him. So they, if you can imagine, this is like 12 meters deep, or 14 meters deep maybe. So we're quite a way off the bottom, and he's got his gun there with no spear in it, and the fish is like way down, you can't even see it anymore, and the shark just rolls up so fast. I don't think I've seen them move that fast since, but like they can really move where they need to, and just right on him. And he just had his muzzle, and he was like, I just remember him trying to fight this thing off, and it was just trying to break the guard and just like charging in and gonna act it out, because it's how I remember it, just thrashing and crazy. And I had my shooting line all coiled around me, but I was going to shoot it, and then I just like was trying to pull the line off, because I was like, this thing's just gonna, if it gets past that gun, it's just gonna grab him. And then I seen this other shark rolling super hot, and it sort of smacked into Nathan like on his front, but also it hit the other shark. So the other shark got a big spook and bolted away, and the second shark took over and was just doing exactly the same thing, just ramming into him and trying to get past that muzzle. It's like real weird. And then the shark like turned, and it had the gun like attached to it. I don't know if it grabbed it or if it got caught somehow, but it sort of pulled the gun away. It must have grabbed it, I think. And then we just went straight back to the boat, and the boatie was, when we jumped overboard, like waiting for another one to come and charge in at us. And the skipper was like, what on earth was happening there? All he saw was just white water and tails slapping on the surface of the water, and just chaos. And I never got it on film, and I've never seen anything so intense since. I've sort of burnt in my memory where I'm hanging out with them. I just have it there where they might sort of do that stuff. And if he didn't have his gun on him, like, I don't know what they would do to break through, but they were not, they weren't very happy. So the moral of that story is, why on those spots out there now we guard when we shoot kingfish. It's one shooter and one guard, and always keep a real watchful eye on them. Don't have two kingies on at once if you know there's sharks around. If you don't know, then, you know, sweet as, we do that quite often. But if there's sharks already around and you're sort of seeing a bit of twitchy stuff going on, or they're not far away, they're cruising through, then you really have to think about what you're doing, make really good shots and stuff too. And yeah, I still shoot kingfish around them, but why not tell that yarn to let guys know about that experience, because that was a freaky one that sort of people can learn from. And bear in mind that was like 9 years ago, and I haven't seen that since. I've swum with a ton of sharks since, so it's very sort of out of the blue, weird kind of stuff. And then what was the other one? So, oh yeah, that's right, the way that we operate. So I'll give you a little example. So me and Wayne diving on the weed lines a couple of days ago, moving up and down the weed line, taking drops at a time. I shoot a kingfish, and this is the first time using these rubbers, and I wasn't sure I had penetration on it. It looked like quite a lot of the spear was coming out the side. So Wayne dives down. I say, I don't know if I've got penny, can you check? He dives down, and all he sees is quite a lot of spear hanging out, but he can't tell if it's all the way through. And there's other kingfish moving around. He decides to make the call of shooting the fish for me so that we can get it on the boat. Because it's got 2 spears in it and it's a bit weak by then, I like rodeo it, just get it up to the surface. I'm holding it hard in the gills, pull the spear out, Wayne's spear out, spin it and pull it out before I even icky the fish. Drop it. We hadn't seen any sharks, and we don't mind a bit of burley down on the weed line. We all know that, and the water was clean because you can bring John Dory, and we're quite happy to hang out with sharks on that particular spot. So that's something that we're just doing. So I've cut his spear out. His spear's clear. He's sorting out his gun. I icky the fish with the same blade. I gut the fish. By the time I finished gutting it and ripping all the guts out and it's ickied in there, and getting my spear out, he's sorted his gun out, completely reloaded it. And I also noticed that he's wound in my entire reel for me so that I get the fish on the boat. My gun's already there, set, ready to go. And he's managed to sort his gun out in that time. And then and we wanted to get him a kingy too. Well, he wanted to get one, and we also wanted to get Mike one. And basically, I ended up having everything ready. I got that kingy back on the boat, and then we're right there in the zone to maximize our chance again up on that point without dawdling and taking heaps of time, because we're sort of trying to take advantage of these windows. So the fish is sort of, while they're there, we're trying to if, for example, I shot that fish and then I dawdled and I swung both guns over to the boat, and we're not sort of working in that tandem unison. I'm thinking about him first. I'm getting his shaft out first really quickly so that he's reloaded so that he can shoot a kingfish. That might come in while I'm dealing with my one, or while I'm pulling guts out of this fish, because I was thinking straight away there was a school there. If I quickly gut it, then we might get another school and these guys can get on. I can do a bit of guarding with my gun if I need to, but highly doubt it on that spot because for some reason we just don't see them there. And that's something we'll bear in mind too when it comes to gutting the fish in the water after the last story. And then, it just trying to make everything really, really streamlined with your dive buddy, and you'll get to really, really know each other. And then, we go up to the pressure point. Actually, I dive down after that, and a kingfish is moving in, and I say to Mike, here's your fish, and he makes a really good shot. Wayne gets onto one too, and then we've got fish. And, it all worked really, really well, just streamlining it. And then after that, another thing that I noticed we're doing is, so there's a lot of different types of streamlining. If I shoot a kingfish or something on the reel gun and I'm like, it's a good fish, and I'm like, crap, I need to float. Like Wayne won't dawdle. He'll always go and get the line like really, really quickly. He doesn't go to pull in float to get it for me. He'll straight away have float and he'll be right on me. And he's been like that a few times, even up. He'll see me if I'm getting dusted. We've had some good fish like that I didn't really expect before, down on White Island and stuff like that, while punting pinkies and stuff with the reels, and he'll be like before like I get to the surface, and then he'll be up over the side of the boat with floats like swimming over to me, and we'll get the floats on, and then maybe just been the shot that was the issue. But it's just that real maximizing all those chances, because time is very, very important when it comes to spearfishing. It's taking advantage of, like, you know, throughout a whole day, it's taking advantage of like these tiny little windows. So each fish that you see in the bin, you know, particularly when you get snapper in there, each fish you see in the bin might have been, you know, you're taking advantage of these opportunities that are presented in very small gaps. Unless you're just diving somewhere where there's fish absolutely everywhere. And yeah, well, and so there's that, and there's also the way that you watch each other's body language when you're watching each other diving. So your dive buddy, like for me, like with Wayne, like he will see me go, I'm diving down casually, and then he'll see me move, and then he'll see the little, like, okay, I can see something, and I put my gun out slightly, and then he knows there that there's something going on, so he's sort of ready. So let's say if we're on a weed line, it's a bory, and there might be a couple of them together. He's already thinking, okay, he can take advantage and maybe get a fish if I shoot one. So you're watching your dive buddies. Not more important for kingfish, but I'll move on to that. But you're watching your dive buddy, the way that they're sort of acting in the water, and if they're holding their gun back and then they go for the handle and stuff. Particularly for kingfish, because on a spot like that, you know, we have 3 divers there, and we want to. Kingfish are the target species of the day. We're not just ignoring them, and we're not seeing many, and we're diving on a weed line for 2 hours, and then your dive buddy goes and grabs the gun like that. Then you go, okay, I might have to dive here to take advantage, chill out, by take advantage, I mean I can be down there to film. I can be down there to get a second shot. If he shoots, and then I'm on the way down as he's on the way up, I can get a good look at him for safety. I know there's another diver there. I can check the shot on the fish quickly. I can check if there's other fish there, if I might want to take one. I can get footage of the fish while it's down there with the GoPro. So yeah, just watching what each other are doing. You know, if your dive buddy's sort of like looking out there and then doing something, and they kind of look out there, and then you think, okay, they're seeing something, and then when they come up, be ready to dive back down there because they might be looking at bait or just anything. It's just another way of, instead of letting the fish tell you where fish are, if it's a really, really fishy spot, why not let your dive buddies body actions or movements and that let you know what's happening in an area too. Because when they're down there, for example, I had those 2 guys above me, and I had a school of about 30 kingies come in, and I shot one, and they never knew there were kingies there, and I was just watching loads and loads of them. So it's about them watching what I'm doing, and if I'm swimming out and into a particular area and making doing some body language, then they know to get ready because something might be happening. So yeah, I thought that might help, guys. All the experienced guys watching this, that'll be pretty standard. But for some of you guys that are only just picking up this, spearfishing as a method of getting your fish, this yarn probably has a bit of value over time. You might want to come back to it too, because that kind of streamlined work and all those kind of things are pretty important when we work together, and it really, really makes it all work. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. Sort of a couple of topics there, and yeah, I'm gonna go get the binoculars out now and have a look down at a shore dive spot here. I don't know if I'll get in the water, but we'll see what it looks like. So sweet, I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, fire through more questions as you guys have them.